The newest wave of Judge promos has just been released. And in all honesty, I've got to say, they look pretty good. Greetings, owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. We are here to discuss fine luxury cardboard rectangles. Surprise, surprise. But more specifically, we are here to talk about the new wave of Judge promos. Now, this is the first wave that's actually being created specifically for the Judge Academy as opposed to the previous system. So up until this point in Magic history, what would happen is Wizards of the Coast would reward judges with essentially randomized packs of promos. So you didn't know exactly what you were getting, and they had this sort of like mixing different promos into different packs kind of deal. At one point, if I'm not mistaken, all judges used to get promos, and then they changed it to particular requirements needing to be met before you got them, and then randomization. Either way, there was a number of different methods they used to determine who would get them and what foils they would get. Now, we have a different scenario where the Judge Academy has taken over. If you guys didn't know about this, the Judge Academy is essentially like its own private organization now that judges get accredited through. This does actually change the way that Judge promos are acquired. Then it basically does mean as well that most likely it's going to be easier for people who want to get these cards to get these cards. These cards are given to judges so that they can sell these cards to pay for their Judge Academy membership. Not automatically. They can keep the cards if they want. But either way, you basically you pay the Judge Academy $100, right? And then they will hook you up with these promos on top of walking you through how to become a judge. It's sort of like you get both. You get the training and you get the cards. But anyways, I feel like I blathered enough about the Judge Academy, and you all want to see the cards. So why don't we dive right in? We'll take a look at Spellseeker first, right? This is the first promo we have to talk about. So this is 1 blue, 2 colorless for a 1/1 human wizard. When Spellseeker enters the battlefield, you may search your library for an instant or sorcery card with converted mana cost 2 or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, then shuffle your library. The flavor text says, not content with mere answers, she hunts for the truth. Some of you may recognize this as a card that was originally put in Battle Bond. This is actually originally a Battle Bond card, and a foil version of Spellseeker, at least at one time, was like a $70 card. Genuinely, I don't know what the value is now, but this helps to increase the supply of them. When it comes to cards that allow you to search through your library for other cards, some of them can be quite attractive. This one will let you get basically any instant or sorcery that costs less than her. So that's not too shabby at all. That's some nice card advantage built in there. The artwork depicts this wizard chick, and she is leaning forwards with her hand outstretched, and she is, tapping an owl on the belly, giving an owl a little bit of a belly tap. Honestly, her staff looks really cool. The sort of like thorny top of it with that gem that's suspended in the air. You've got that like the hook of the staff curving around it. You've got this gem or possibly lens, but what really looks like a gemstone to me, hovering there. I like that sort of suspension magic concept. I think the staff looks fantastic. I think her outfit looks pretty good. Overall, it is mildly confusing when you look at the name of the card and you go Spellseeker. All right, here she is casting a spell, not really seeking a spell, but I suppose what's supposed to be happening is summoning up this owl is supposed to represent an instant or sorcery card that costs 2 or less. I mean, it's got to be somewhat difficult to represent the spell-seeking concept, in all honesty. I mean, how do you show that? Especially when it comes to blue. They're not really making a lot of token creatures for 1 or 2 mana. So it's kind of, I guess they need to take liberties with it. The owl actually looks really cool with those crazy eyes. What I like is that the eyes of the owl actually match the gemstone that is is hovering in her staff, right? And you can see some little motes of mystical energy that are just kind of coalescing around this owl. Most likely what she's done is she's just summoned this owl up. The artwork is admittedly confusing. Now, the flavor text says, not content with mere answers, she hunts for the truth. I I want to see this owl with a little like Jack Nicholson head on it. You guys know what I'm getting at? You know that old, who was it? Who was in that movie? Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise. I'm pretty sure it was Tom Cruise and Jack Nicholson. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. I want to, you can't handle the truth, Jack Nicholson face on this spell seeker. But honestly, the flavor text is kind of dumb. Not content with mere answers, she hunts for the truth. No, she hunts for magic. Is magic truth? I feel like the flavor text is kind of off on this. Overall, the card looks very cool. I think that maybe the card would have been better off with no flavor text whatsoever. Now, you may have noticed that this card has a very weird looking expansion symbol, and that's actually the same symbol that's shown in the background of the card as a watermark. It actually comes through a lot more clearly in the watermark than it does in the expansion symbol. But what you're looking at when you look at that watermark, what is that? What's that supposed to be? That, if you guessed owl, you are correct. It's actually kind of convenient that the first piece of artwork that they have here has an owl like this, because this is what they've chosen to represent the promos. This is known as Archie the Owl, and he is supposed to represent the judges seeking knowledge. So, I mean, all in all, it's a friendly looking little owl. I mean, you need something to represent yourself. Maybe they could have picked something better, but they easily could have picked something worse too. So to me, it's not exciting, but it's passable. Whatever. And I do kind of like the concept of like, check it out. You guys are owls. And in the first artwork, you've got this owl going on. But yeah, the eyes and the matching on the staff, fantastic. Overall, this seems like a good choice to include as a promo. They all do. I'm going to end up saying that about all the cards they've chosen, because I'll give them that. They nailed it with the card choices in terms of picking actual desirable cards. So let's move on to talking about the second card, because this one's actually pretty interesting. 1 black, 1 colorless gets you Demonic Tutor. From the very beginning of Magic, we're going all the way back to Alpha. When Demonic Tutor first existed, it got wiped out of the game when Wizards of the Coast was concerned about very religious groups getting upset about certain aspects of their game and wanting to have more mass market appeal. So that was the end of the time that we had Demonic Tutor as part of Magic the Gathering. But if you started back in the day, you will definitely remember how prevalent this card was. Every black deck was packing a Tutor. You'd be insane not to. What you get for a black and a colorless is fantastic. You get to search your library for a card, put the card into your hand, and then shuffle your library. Not too shabby at all. Go get any card you want. No problems. Flavor text says, Mama says it's my imagination, but I know you'd never lie to me. So we have in the artwork, you've got what is just a cute little precocious child. She is knelt down on the floor in her little girl dress. On her lap is sitting this doll with dark liquid pools for eyes. And you can see that the doll, from the expression of its eyebrows and everything like that, this is an angry, mean doll, right? I absolutely love the contrast between the concept of this card and the artwork. All the little details that go into it. You can see the rocking horse in the background. You've got a little mobile in the background as well. You've got her toys scattered around. You've got the little stuff for a make-believe tea party. You got all of that kicking around, right? And you've got this sweet, innocent-looking little child who is being told to do awful things because she has a doll that's possessed by a demon. Now, this is a very common sort of trope that you'll see in horror, but that's because it works really well. Honestly, the idea of children who are like innocent and naive doing horrific things is one thing. But then when you compound that with the fact that they have something that is demonic, but they don't realize it is, they just think like, you know what, this is just my, like, it's like when you have imaginary friends as a kid or whatever. I don't even know, did I have an imaginary friend as a kid? I can't remember. But either way, you've got like imaginary friends, you trust in them. This is a vicious, evil little doll that is tutoring this girl in the infernal. This is someone who may grow up to be some kind of awful, evil necromancer, or just may end up burning her parents' house down. Either way, the concept behind it, it's cool. I actually really like this. I think this is the most interesting Demonic Tutor artwork that we've seen, because the other ones are very on the nose, you know? I mean, in a way, I suppose this is also on the nose because of how overdone the trope is, but I don't know, I just really like it. I like it because of the contrast to previous Demonic Tutors. So for me, it's a pretty sweet include, honestly. I look at it and go, you know what, this is great. And I mean, if you guys haven't picked up a theme yet, when it comes to the cards we're talking about, we're going to be talking about multiple tutor cards. And Demonic Tutor is actually known for the concept of tutoring. That's why whenever you have a card that lets you search for something, you call it tutor. You call it tutoring, because Demonic Tutor showed us the way. It was the progenitor, the very first tutor. So next up, and it is kind of weird that we only get 4 promos and we get 4 different colors. And I mean, green's getting left out in the cold. Spoiler warning: green's not getting a promo in this wave. But bear in mind, I think that they do these promos in quarters, so it'll basically, or maybe it's like twice a year. I can't remember, but we should be seeing some kind of green tutor probably in the next batch. I don't know. I'm not 100% on that. I don't know if I don't know if the Judge promos are like continuing off of the previous Judge promos and they're just finishing out a cycle and maybe missed the green tutor from before, or whether like these are all new for these guys and they're doing it in a completely different fashion and we will see a green tutor. But that all being said, let us move on to the next tutor card, which is a red one, and this is Gamble. 1 red sorcery, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, discard a card at random, then shuffle your library. I like this as a concept for red. Red is like the most chaotic sort of color out of all the colors of Magic. It has the most like randomized kind of effects, where it'll just be like, I'm going to destroy something yours, but I'm going to destroy something at random. Destroy a random non-enchantment permanent is something you could easily see printed on a red card. So red is random, and I like the fact that Gamble is cheaper. It is definitely cheaper than any other tutor, but it comes at a risk where, first of all, you're going to lose a resource in exchange for what you're gambling for, but at the same time, you could literally lose the answer that you need. So there could be something you really need in the game right now. You play Gamble to get it, you go and get it, and that's the random card you discard. So not only do you not have the card, but now it's not in your deck either. So if you had multiple copies, you have 1 less copy. If it was your only copy, it's gone. I really love the way that the flavor of the card perfectly fits the name, because it's genuinely a gamble. And depending on how many cards you have in your hand, the gamble changes in scale, right? If you only have 1 card in your hand, that's like a 50-50 gamble. But if you have 3 cards in your hand, all of a sudden, you only got a 25% chance of losing the card. So I like that those numbers come into it as well. Gamble's got a lot of fun, like flavor to it just mechanically before you even bring in the art or the flavor text. So the flavor text on Gamble says, as she triggered yet another trap, Chira realized that what she thought was the goblin word for easy probably wasn't. And we see artwork where you can see this woman, she is hunched down, just kind of in a defensive, protective position, holding on to some red sphere or a red rock. I'm not sure exactly what it's supposed to be. Some magic. It could be it might actually be like a dragon's egg or something. Because if you look really closely, and when I'm looking closely, it kind of looks like there's shadows inside of the egg. She might have stolen some kind of dragon egg. But you can see around her, there are all these like sort of etchings on the wall. You can see that this is some kind of like Indiana Jones kind of steal the treasure, deal with the trap scenario. You can see that there are a bunch of spears. There's one flying right over her head that she's ducked. There's some stuck into the wall. Up in the forefront of the artwork, you can see some unlucky sap who actually took a spear to the head and is laying there and has been laying there for a long time. So this does a pretty good job of showing a risky situation, right? Where you can see the risk and the reward clearly illustrated in the artwork, which I really enjoy. So you've got the reward of the dragon egg. The risk is all of these traps, because this is just one potential trap we're seeing here. And actually in the background of the artwork there, like it almost looks like there's a statue, like an animated statue with a big jewel in its head, and it's like leaning, looking in at her. This could be a situation where she is basically being chased by a gigantic statue, is forced into this like enclosed area where all these different kinds of traps are going off, some kind of ancient ruins. But I really like the flavor text as well. It's a lot of fun in terms of the concept of red. Red gets jokey style flavor text to kind of lighten the mood, and this does a good job of it. I really enjoy the concept of, look, she's gathering information from goblins about this whole sort of, it's like she's triggered yet another trap. And it's just like, you know what? They kept saying this word, and I thought it meant easy, but maybe it meant danger. Maybe it meant trap. I mean, they said it a lot. That kind of concept is fun, where it's just like you got the brave, it'll be no problem. I was talking to these goblins. They were like, whatever. You gather the information you get, and you're like, oh my God, there's giant statues and spear traps. I do not want to be here. And the gamble is, like, while you're dodging all these spear traps, a spear could end up flying straight through the dragon egg. It could cause you to end up dropping the treasure carrying, breaking it. So that also works into the flavor concept of gamble and how you might lose the card that you've just gained. So overall, I really like the flavor of this. This one has a really tight execution in terms of design. The artwork, the name, the flavor text, and the abilities of the card, they all come together. This is what I love to see about Magic. Like, genuinely, properly executed flavor to the extreme where everything makes perfect sense. Very, very nice. And the final card we're going to talk about, and you might have already guessed the color of it based on the fact that I said we wouldn't be talking about green, is a white tutor. And that is Enlightened tutor. So 1 white for an instant, search your library for an artifact or enchantment card, reveal that card, shuffle your library, then put the card on top of it. I like the way that this contrasts against the gamble, where you can get an idea of the level. Like, if you look at the different tutors, if you look at Demonic Tutor, a black and a colorless will straight up net you any card that you want. 1 red will net you a card with a risk of losing it or cost you another card. What does the white tutor cost you? Less mana, but it essentially costs you a turn unless you play with card draw. Because what you're doing is you're searching for the artifact or enchantment, finding it, putting it on top of your deck, and on top of that, also for the reduced mana cost, you're giving up the ability to find any sort of card you want, and you specifically have to take an artifact or enchantment. So with Gamble, you have the chance of not getting the card at all or having to sacrifice a card. With the Enlightened Tutor, you don't have to sacrifice a card, but you can only pick specialized items in terms of artifacts or enchantments, and you must wait until your next turn to draw it off the top of your deck, unless, like I mentioned, you have card draw in your deck. So I do like the way that when you look at them across the different cards, it does a good job of contrasting the different type of older tutors. Spellseeker is from a different era. It's from a newer time with a different kind of design. Tutors used to be more powerful back in the day. Wizards is a lot more reserved when it comes to creating tutors now, and that makes sense because if you have too powerful things, if you have cards that are too powerful at fixing somebody's hand and getting the stuff that they need, you run into problems in the game. So it's the right way to do things. So again, 1 white, search your library for an artifact or enchantment card, reveal the card, shuffle your library, put that card on top of it. The flavor text says, the path offered by the Academy is long and difficult, but those who brave it arrive at wisdom beyond compare. And I mean, honestly, this feels like, come on, you're the Judge Academy. This feels like a self-referential card where they're like, we're the Judge Academy. Hey, you know what? Come through us for this path of knowledge. Hey, it almost comes across as a little bit of advertising. But whatever, if you put that aside and just observe it from the concept of a mystical academy instead of a Judge Academy, the path offered by the Academy is long and difficult, but those who brave it arrive at wisdom beyond compare. I don't know how much that is basically the idea supposed to be that this tutor is one of the people who works specifically like at the Academy and teaches you and helps you arrive at wisdom beyond compare? Is that the concept they're going for? The artwork is interestingly almost abstract, where at first it looks like a flower is blossoming from this shadowy figure's forehead, but it's really like a pulsing sphere of light where you can see that the light is just jetting out to either side and kind of sparkling off in every direction. And around this tutor's head, you can also see almost like a halo of geometric shapes. You got a bunch of geometric shapes in the background as well. This tutor is standing in some sort of like nimbus of light. I don't know, some kind of summoning circle. But honestly, this artwork is the is the least direct and obvious of the artworks that we're looking at today. I guess it's just supposed to be, this is your tutor, and she's got a level of enigma surrounding her. I mean, it definitely gives you the idea of awakening power in your mind from that artwork. I'll give them that. I'll give them that. And I mean, it's a solid card too. All these cards are very, very solid cards. So these are all excellent choices for the Judge promos. One of the concerns people had was that maybe the Judge promos wouldn't be very good and it would be hard to justify the expenditure that they were making on Judge Academy. But it feels like the foils themselves are good choices. The cards they've selected are good choices. Whether they'll pan out financially for the judges, that remains to be seen, because I have no idea how many will show up and, you know, people will sell them for whatever. So we'll see how that goes. But for me, honestly, really like the look of these. The sad news for me as well, though, is I don't put tutors in my cube. So none of these are cube worthy for me, which is a tiny little bit of a letdown. When I saw the new Judge promo, I was like, because I recently got a Judge promo food chain for my cube. Very nice, very nice. But either way, that's all the cards that we had to talk about today. So thanks for coming by and hanging out with me. Let me know what you think about these cards and how the new way is going with the Judge Academy. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like, hit the subscribe button if you want to hang out and do some more stuff here. I just remind you of that kind of stuff because I yammer on for like 20 minutes. You might even forget what we're doing here. Like, what's going on, man? I was just making waffles in the other room. Click the buttons that tell the robot overlords that you enjoy what I do, or don't. I mean, click the thumbs up if you liked it, click the thumbs down if you disliked it. It's your world, baby. I'm just living in it. Wait, that doesn't make sense. It's our world, and we're living in it. And on that note, remember, together, we are the sixth color of magic.